Good afternoon. This is Dr. White again with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to talk to you just a few minutes about TADs and why they work. It's a wonderful tool for using doing orthodontics. You can pull a group of teeth, and you can hold one group where they are and pull another group to them. And I wanted to look at some bone structure and get some idea of why this actually works. So here is a picture of the side of a skull. I've had this skull, and here it is. I've had it for years and years, and used to you could buy them, and this was made up, and they're precious. If you can get one, get a hold of one. The plastic skulls are just something to laugh at. They don't have anything like the detail that a real skull has. And you can, this one right here's got all kinds of stuff on this side I'm going to show. And I have to kind of look down here at this picture. Now this is cortical bone right here. That's cortical bone, and it's totally different from cancellous bone, which is right up here in between the teeth. It looks like honeycomb or something. It's very soft, and the body uses that to develop and make a lot of different things in the bone structure as blood is formed in these areas. This can get so complicated that you just can't imagine how complicated this can be. Now, I've scrubbed in on the surgeries where they actually section off the maxilla. This part of the bone structure was sitting on the tongue out here, held on by the soft tissue back in the back of the throat, and got its blood supply from that area. And then they would come in and trim the bone structure around the sinuses and everything and push the bone up, and then either screw it in place or used to wire it in place. And I helped push the wire through the holes and everything, and could do it as good as any of those people studying oral surgery and everything. Now, I remember the professor that was a friend of mine and put a lot of my stuff on the work and everything. So he asked me, said, "How do you feel about this? How does that look to you, Bill?" And I looked at that man. I said, "God help! Don't ask me. I don't see how on earth this person's going to survive." And we wired that together, and then we lengthened the jaw. Down here, you split the thing and take one side and slide it out, wire it together, and put the other and bring this out. And then he did a genioplasty on the person where you take the chin out like that. And it was, we went in at 7 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get through until about 1 that day, and I just prayed, "God, take care of this person." And they did. The lady, in about a month and a half, he took care of them, came in the office, and nobody knew her. She looked so much better. Her little child said, "You don't even look like my mommy." Now I'm getting off the subject here. It was TADs. Now, TADs or simply screws that you put into the bone, and the bone does not act on the TAD. Whereas if you pull on a tooth, the osteoclasts and osteoblasts move that tooth, and you can bring this whole section of teeth out or in, or this one up or down or out or in, and just tremendous amounts by separating the palate. But when you put a screw in the bone structure itself, it doesn't move it, but it'll pull teeth and change the position of the teeth. These osteoblasts, osteoclasts work on the tooth and move it, and that's just a wonderful thing because we can do so many things with the teeth. I'm going to show you a few ideas I had and stuff, but this is a tad, or the way they're made. Was that when I made this, they had a little hole up here in the top. You know, you could put things through that hole, screw into the bone. Now the thing about it is that you want to put the tad into the cortical bone. You want to screw the tad, if you're going to move these teeth, you need to screw it down into the cortical bone, and then you bond it to the tooth up here. If you try to get too far in the cancellous bone, it doesn't hold anymore. So if the more you get into cortical bone, then the better it is. All right, let's see. Now I got these tads came in kind of late in my practice, and I didn't get to use them as much as I would like to, as like implants too. All right. So anyway, we put the tads in the cortical bone, and then you can tie onto the tad, and it doesn't move, or very little. It may move the whole cortical bone area, but it'll move teeth through cortical bone, and they'll just move around in there. This not too good of an example. Put the tad and pulling it back and forth, but you can just advance the teeth and pull the tad however you want to. I'm going to see, like, if they put a tad here in this area, and you could pull these teeth up to that tad. And I've got several cases that we use tads on. This is how they come, and they're way, way too expensive. I mean, you can buy a whole tassel of screws for what one little tassel, I mean, one of these small screws would cost. But you can put them in and move them back and forth. Now, I came up with some ideas to advance the maxilla, like you could screw a tad into the bone structure up here and make a spring that went like this, came out, went down, and then this way, and then you turn the spring around like this, and you could activate it by bending it from here back to here, and it would tend to push the front, whatever you attached it to, forward, and this would be in bone structure, and it would pretty well stay in that position. It's just some ideas. There's thousands of ideas in use of tads. It would be hard to say that. And this is another skull, and you want to put the tad, say if you've got this tooth out and you want to drag these teeth up here and you don't want these to move back, you put the tad in the cortical bone here, and you bring the head up and bond it to the teeth, where these teeth can't move unless this tad moves right here. And now you pull from back here, and you can close this space up with pulling against this tad. You see, you can tie it to the tad, and it'll bring these teeth. So if you've lost a 6-year molar in here, and you kind of use an arch wire like we've shown you to use, so much you come out like this and go up and make a circle, and then come down this way. Now you bring it down here, and you pull on this, and this activation right here brings the roots forward as you pull the crown forward, and you can pull the tooth forward and have it come over here where it was just sitting just like it normally was back there. It doesn't lean over. So this is something you need to learn how to do is to close space, and you need to learn how to open space also and make the roots go toward the opening of the case. Let's go on down. There's not much more that I want to tell you about it. It is a very complicated thing, and I think every dentist who messes around with orthodontics or just knowing what can be done dentistry, you can hook these tads on them. They go up in the palate and put tads and then push the maxilla forward or backward with the tads in the palate. Or you could hook them up to the zygomatic arch or different things and go. There's no end to where the things you can figure out to do with tads. So I thank you for watching this. This doesn't cover the subject very, very good and detailed anyway, but anyway, it does give you an idea of what you could use. Just putting little screws into the bone structure. The body doesn't work on the screw like it works on a tooth. These little osteoclasts and osteoblasts can move this bone around this tooth. They can move this whole section of bone out if you just expand it. But it has very little effect of the tad. Now, if you had a tad in here and you expanded the whole bone structure, the tad would go out with the bone. In other words, the tad's on the bust and the bust moves, the tad moves. You could do that. I mean, that sounds kind of silly, but if you were expanding this arch right here and you had a tad on it, it would expand with it. So I'm going to stop at that point and hope you get something out of this and learn how to use tads, because they are a very wonderful tool in orthodontics and a lot of other part of dentistry also. So I'll say goodbye and thank you for watching. I want you to join our organization and subscribe to our case. And so I will say goodbye.